What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Dre Area Sports Show. This is That Niner Show. Our other co-host, which is Brian Snowman, will not be here today. However, we're still going to push on. And I'm joined today by CG Ruthless. What's going on, Ruthless?
Hey, what's going on, brother? It's looking forward to this, man. This is a great timing, man. Couldn't be any better than this week.
Exactly, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. You know, just having a diehard Niner fan on here, it's fucking kick ass. You know what I mean? And guys, we're going to talk about the 53-man roster, some of the cuts they made, some of the players they kept, and what we thought about that. And obviously, yes, we're going to talk about Brandon Ayuk and that whole situation along with Trent Williams. But guys, before we get started, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PowerBrandSystems. If you're looking to jumpstart your small business or large business into the 21st century, give my friends Marco and Dominic a call at PowerBrandSystems. Use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 on your first purchase of PowerBrandSystems. Even if you need a website built for your small business, for your YouTube channel, for your social media account, they can help you with that. So guys, definitely check out PowerBrandSystems. Okay, so CG, let me ask you. They made their cuts yesterday. They said, okay, we're going to trim it down to 53-man roster. What were your thoughts on the players they kept? And then after that, what are your thoughts on the players that they didn't keep?
Okay, so thoughts on the roster as far as the players they kept. I mean, it's pretty obvious with the quarterback position. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious. Like, that one was a no-brainer.
No-brainer, yeah.
Yeah. Wide receiver, that was a little bit of a question mark. Like, I didn't think they were going to keep 7 wide receivers, you know, but Ronnie Bell just sneaks his way in. And then cornerbacks, you look at the cornerback room. How the heck does Avery Thomas just sneak his way in, even with an injury? Jeez.
That was interesting. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Now, this could be a case where he's going to be on the IR, and then that's going to open it up for like them to bring back Rocky Sin, which I was shocked that he didn't make the team. But I think it's one of those kind of maneuvers where, you know, you put him on the roster, but you know that you're going to put him on IR. I don't know. Let's hope it.
Maybe a collateral move out of it, but you don't know. But I think as far as the rosters, like, you look at the quarterback groups, it's pretty promising. The linebacker group is pretty legit. You know, I like how we got the linebacker group, but maybe there was a couple of players that maybe we should have kept on our roster, but they made the moves because it's pretty stacked. But you look at the safety, it's pretty deep. I like the safety depth we got so far. The tight end group was pretty weak. I'm not going to lie. Like,
I mean, it's down to what, 2 guys now?
Yeah, but they actually just brought back Eric Solberg. Actually,
he was the one I thought they were going to keep, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, they parted ways with them." I thought, "What the fuck?" But then, yes, they did bring him back today, which is good because in terms of blocking, I thought he did a really good job. So I was cool with that. Let me pull up the do I have it right here? Here it is. So let me go ahead and pull that up real fast. Settings. Oh, it's the wrong one. So we can take a look at the tight ends that we're talking about. So here it is right here. Jake Tongas and George Kittle. I thought, what is going on here? Obviously, George Kittle's he's phenomenal. But Jake Tongas, I thought, had a good summer. And he did a lot of good things. But I thought Sober was better than Tonjes. But here's the thing. You know, people were shocked about Braden Willis and Cam Latu. I was not. Braden Willis couldn't block if he held a gun to his head. He just couldn't do it. How many free rushers ran past him? It was just unbelievable. And then Cam Latu, I mean, right from the start, and we're talking about OTAs, he didn't even show up to OTAs. And that's when I was like, okay, this guy's tripping. Preseason, he looked all right, but nothing where I was like, man, this guy is going to make or break the team. You know, this guy is going to be a difference of us winning a Super Bowl or not. So I think getting rid of both of them was fine. Now, they did bring back Braden Willis to the practice squad, but Cam Latu, they pretty much told him to kick rocks, so he's gone.
Yeah, he's with the Cleveland Browns from the looks of it. But, you know, I kind of agree on what you're saying about Brandon Willis. You know, I'm pretty high on this guy from Oklahoma because I'm a Sooners fan, but I feel like his versatility is what's gonna keep him around. But since he's on the practice squad, that's not the end of him. Yeah, his blocking just needs a lot of work. Receiving skills, he just hasn't got the fair opportunity to get the ball, except when Purdy threw him a couple of times. He might just have to be a fullback at this point. Like maybe like a Ross Dwelly. You know how Ross Dwelly's not quite a good blocker, but a good receiving kind of guy. Eric Solberg, I looked at the reports even when we cut him. He's still going to be listed as a number 2 tight end, from my understanding.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. You know, like having a guy like Eric Sobert as your number 2, to me, and that makes a lot of sense. He's a good blocker, and so I think when you have those 2 tight end packages where they're going to be running the ball, he's going to be way more helpful in those kind of packages. And then, of course, they kept Mason Pline on the practice squad. They were able to sign him, which I think he'll be really good as time goes on, but just not ready right now.
Give him a year, because I think he's got raw potential. This kid came out of Furman. I think he was a basketball player because I've interviewed this kid during the draft, and I'll tell you what, if he can get it together, man, I think we got something special with this kid.
I think so. I was actually hoping that he would surprise in the preseason and actually find his way onto the roster. But, you know, he was having a tough time just even getting on the field at preseason games. And I think, you know, for the Niners, they said, look, we got to see what we got in Braden Willis and Cam Latu. I mean, Braden Willis started a lot of these preseason games, but like I said, his blocking was just atrocious. So for me, that was not a shocker whatsoever that they parted ways with those guys. But like I said, Willis is back on the practice squad, which is awesome. You know, that's awesome for him and for the Niners as well. But let's move on to the next one, which is, let me see. You talked about all the different rooms. Let's talk about the quarterback room. This is one thing I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Let me see. Where is it? So looking at the quarterbacks, who do you think is going to be the number 2 quarterback? Is it going to be Brandon Allen or is it going to be Josh Dobbs?
It's pretty obvious. I'm going to have to say Josh Dobbs, man, because he brings a different dynamic behind Brock Purdy. Brandon Allen he's just like a normal stationary quarterback. He just knows the offense. That's the only difference. He has a huge learning curve but Dobbs is actually a quick learner, actually. I think Dobbs should get the heads up, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I think Dobbs should be number 2. I think he's more dynamic. I think he brings more to the table when it comes to your backup quarterback. Obviously, we saw him run literally from one side of the field to the other and still get a first down. So he has that kind of those tangible features that I don't think, you know, Brandon Allen can bring to the table. He obviously, look, is he a good pocket passer? Yeah. However, I just don't think that he's as dynamic as Josh Dobbs. And it's funny because when you watch him in the preseason, because he wears number 5, I was like, dude, and sometimes he'd run with the ball. I was like, this is kind of what I thought, you know, Trey Lance was going to be like, but better. So that was kind of weird to see that, but I agree with you. I think that Josh Dobbs should be number 2 over Brandon Allen.
Yeah, Brandon Allen's more like he's just more stationary. Like, he knows the offense for sure, but when you look at Dobbs, he seems to be a very quick learner and very dynamic, which is something we do need at that backup spot. Wait, can you hear me? Oh, you lowered? Can't hear. Think you're mute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were muted.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My everything flickered, and all of a sudden I was silenced. I was like, oh my god. Okay, so let's go to the next position, which is running back. I mean, we'll look at Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Taylor Jr., and then Isaac Guerrero, which I heard he got hurt today, which I hope it's not a big injury. But what did you think about the running backs? I mean, obviously we know that Christian McCaffrey is going to be the number 1. That's Shanahan's go-to. You know, I always compare McCaffrey is our version of like Tyreek Hill. He does everything, right? So we know where he stands. But how do you feel about Jordan Mason in that 2 spot?
I feel like he can be an every down back if he wanted to be, but being that backup, he needs more touches, and he is like a bruiser back, so he kind of gives you a different dynamic. I mean, he can catch the ball off the backfield. The one knack on him from the previous year was his pass blocking. I think he got it better this year, so I think he's more dependable than what you got with Elijah Mitchell. But as far as the rest of the backups, I mean, we can go on with that, but I think Mason can be more than capable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at like the reincarnation of Marshawn Lynch. I mean, this guy's huge.
I was going to go there.
He runs strong. I mean, this guy in the first preseason game, he dominated that first possession and led them down for a touchdown. I mean, this guy's going to be really, really good. The thing that worries me, though, is look, even when we had Jordan Mason, we had Elijah Mitchell and McCaffrey. I mean, McCaffrey was out there every single down. I would like to see them give Mason more reps and sort of, preserve Christian McCaffrey, because that we're going to go deep into the season. I mean, I don't want. I'm hoping he's not going to get a ton of reps, right off the bat, and all of a sudden he gets hurt or he gets worn down. I think Mason gives him an opportunity to kind of keep McCaffrey fresh.
Keep them healthy and fresh, and maybe getting somebody like Mason to be dependable is the big key. So, yeah, I feel like Mason should get more opportunities because a lot of our fan base, we've been pushing for this guy, and I think he deserves a chance.
Absolutely. He absolutely deserves a chance. And I think that when he gets that chance, he is going to thrive in that number 2 spot, especially if they get down goal line and you need a big running back. He's great. Now, Patrick Taylor came on late. He was hurt. He's a former Packer. I thought he ran really hard in that last preseason game. He filled me with confidence in terms of like trusting him with the ball. But he came in late. And really, I think he has a spot on the roster because of the news of Elijah Mitchell going on season-ending IR. I was like, where did this come from? That was nuts.
It's no surprise with Mitchell, man. It's like this guy just can never stay healthy. It's like, well, at this point, maybe Patrick Taylor can give you some nice special teams value, maybe as a reserve running back. But what you saw with Guerrero, like, hopefully it's nothing seriously, man. This guy just needs to be on the field. I like him as a returner. Guerrero kind of gives you a much type of dynamic that we've been missing since Raheem Mostert, actually. So with Guerrero, he's got that speed. He wasn't quite used much in college, so he had one career start in the bowl game, and that's what it's all said from there. His combine performance, all that.
Oh yeah.
And now everybody's talking about this guy maybe being a great fit under Shanahan, which it's possible he could be. But then you look at Patrick Taylor; he's been a journeyman, right? He's been with the Packers, so he's got some experience from playing, but. Was he ever the guy to be on the roster? Not as much.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, look, Patrick Taylor got on there because of the injury to Elijah Mitchell. I was actually very surprised that Kyle let go of Matt Breida. I thought he was like, especially with Mitchell going down, I thought he'd be like, all right, I'm going to keep Matt Breida. But no, they let him go, and they let him go early, so to give him a chance to catch on with somebody else. But I'm telling you, Isaac Guerrero, the moment we saw him return that kickoff, I was like, well, he just made the team. I was like, that's it. It's a lock. And going into it, I was like, let's see what Guerrero has. And then I saw that play, and I saw his runs too. I was like, no, this guy's good. I actually like what we can get out of this guy. And I think that, Guerrero gives us that option that, going into even next year, the year after, he might be the replacement for Kyle Juszczyk, filling in that offensive weapon fullback slot that Juszczyk has right now. I think he could do that, but we'll see how he develops, right?
Yeah, I think he'll develop nicely. Like, I think he'll give you something like that speed type of game, but he's still raw. He's still like kind of like he even played some receiver in college in a lot of different positions. This guy is an athlete, so there's something there.
And then this was another big shocker when it came to the wide receivers. I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? we're carrying 7 wide receivers, which was like, whoa, what the hell? Daniel writes, Garenda reminds me of Mike Allstott if he remains healthy. Yeah, I think so. But look, we know Debo is going to be there. It has Brandon Ayuk listed because obviously he's still on the roster, so he's going to be listed on there. And we'll get into Brandon Ayuk a little bit later on. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, we knew these guys are all going to make the squad. But Ronnie Bell, that was the guy that I was shocked. I didn't think that Ronnie Bell was going to make the team, but after looking at a lot of the film on him, his blocking and his play on special teams, I think that's what it was. And it's a guy who's familiar with the offense. This is his second year. But I was surprised that he made the team, to be honest. I really was.
Yeah, I thought it would be a shocker if he made the roster because I had a list of players who would make the team before even Ronnie Bell made the team, and I had him in the bottom list actually. Like, I was kind of correct about Chris Conley making the roster because it seemed pretty obvious. He adds special teams value. He's a speedy receiver, and he kind of has that chemistry with Brock Purdy, so that's a huge factor. Ronnie Bell, to me, the only reason why maybe he made the roster is because he does add some special teams value, and he is a blocking receiver too, which Kyle Shanahan really values much in his offense. So if you can't block, you can't play.
Yeah. And Jacob Cowing, I think, is going to be a really, really bright star with this team. I think he's super talented. If he could stay healthy, I know he's on the smaller side, but I think this guy has a lot of athletic ability that they can really use to stretch the field. I agree with you about Chris Conley, special teams, and his chemistry with Brock, I think really helps out as well. But I mean, Ronnie Bell, that was the one because I watched him drop a number of passes in preseason, and I thought, I don't know about this guy, but they decided to keep him on. But when you look at the other options that were out there besides Ronnie Bell, I mean, there wasn't a lot of guys that were just screaming to be on the team. What's his name? Tay Martin, I don't think was going to be a difference maker. Danny Gray, I mean, we all know the story about Danny Gray. So there wasn't Robbie Chosen. There wasn't these guys where you're like, oh man, how can they get rid of this guy? So at the end of the day, I'm glad that they kept Chris Conley. I'm glad that they, obviously kept Jacob Cowing. But I think Ronnie Bell was a little bit of a shock because I watched him drop passes. I think really it came down to that last spot was either Ronnie Bell or Trent Taylor. And out of those two, maybe it's me. I have kind of a soft spot for Trent Taylor. I would have taken Trent, but maybe Ronnie Bell's blocking ability is that much better to where it's like, hey, Trent, see you later. And I want to say Trent Taylor got signed to the practice squad today, if I'm not mistaken.
He just signed to the practice squad, but I think with Ronnie Bell, he's a willing blocker, and that's probably what got me to think. Because when I was thinking about why he made the roster, I had to look at the main keys of why these guys made the roster. It's because they're blockers; they can do the dirty work. When you think of Juwan Jennings, what is he known for?
Blocking and making those tough catches on third down.
Exactly. But his best traits is blocking, dude. He can get physical in the block, but Ayuk got better as a blocker. Debo does the same thing. I mean, Chris Conley, I think he's the same way. I think that's what we look for. But Trent Taylor, of course, he's got the advantage with the experience, of course. But you can make a strong case. But I think these most important traits in this offense is you got to block or else you ain't going to get on the field.
Yeah, I think so. I think those are the things that Kyle looks at and the things that he wants to push. So I definitely think that, the intangibles, playing hard, blocking, playing hard on special teams, running your routes hard. I think he sees something in him that he knows, hey, this guy, he has some ups and downs, but he's going to do the things I want him to do. So to me, that's cool. And, I hope he stands out. I hope he sticks around for a while. Now we go to another sore subject, which is basically the offensive line. Look, what's his name? Nick Zakelj. I was not big on him. I know he's best friends with Brock Purdy. But they kept him. Like best friends. But then you figure Feliciano's going to go on IR. Dominic Pooney looks absolutely dominant, but without Trent Taylor on the line, this is just an all right offensive line. I mean, you got Aaron Banks, yeah, you got Pooney, yeah, but I'm telling you, without Trent Taylor, it makes. I mean, without Trent Williams, without Trent Williams, it makes a big fucking difference on who they're going up against.
Yeah, I agree.
Not to mention the Jets. Front line, you're going to go against those guys without your best offensive lineman, the guy who covers his Brock Purdy's blind side. I mean, that's
going to be
insane.
a tough task.
They got to get that deal done, and I still believe that the reason why that deal hasn't gotten done yet is because they haven't gotten the IU deal done. I don't think they want to, sign Trent Williams, and he's like, oh, so you gave him all that money, But to me, Trent Williams is in another category. Another league when
he's at a different level, like
a whole different level. Absolutely.
It's like paying for your protection, right? You want your protection, but you want that big tough guy to be on your side, right?
Exactly. Now, Dominic Pooney, I thought looked really, really good in the preseason. What did you think about Dominic Pooney?
Oh, I like his game. Like the fact that he was able to make that transition from tackle to guard. I mean, he kind of makes it more of a natural. Yeah, he's kind of held his own in the preseason. He's only given up 2 pressures, if I'm mistaken, and he's actually like pushed those defense line to the ground. He's actually made some nice run blocks. He's been really good at his job. So I think the fact that he's going to be the opening day starter, I feel very confident that he can hold his own. Like, I feel like the interior line was a little bit of a weakness, which I still think it is. But if you get Puny to play that side, and he actually did a pretty good job in the preseason, I feel like it might make it a little less stress about the protection instead of what we have going on, no Trent Williams, but hopefully it gets done. But Aaron Banks comes back as expected, I think, week 1, because he got the pinky surgery. So I think he should be clear.
The pinky, yeah. Broke that shit.
Yeah. Usually they put like some kind of cast or some type of thing, because I played offensive line. I know how they go through that. Like, they had to put something for me to play through that. So it's a little tough.
Otherwise, you were just going to cut it off, right? Like, fuck, let's go. Oh, yeah.
Like the Ronnie Lott days. Now they had to put something. They had to put like a cast to where I played through it, and it was painful, but I had to suck it up, man.
You're all, cut it off. Put that bitch on ice. I gotta go. But
like that. Yeah.
McKivitz, I'm telling you, McKivitz does make me a little nervous. He's not the best right tackle, but it is. We got what we got.
I mean,
at this point.
I mean, he's the dollar store of McGlinchey. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, and then that's not an insult to McKivitz, but that is a dollar store McGlinchey, man.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And hopefully he can kind of turn it around, but we'll see what he does.
As far as the rest of the interior line, I know some of you guys may not agree with me on this one, but I think Jay Brendel's the weakest link. Even at times, he just doesn't show it.
He doesn't. He kind of hides, it feels like.
It's like you ever think of that one weak spot, but it's hidden. But once you break that crack, it just starts to break in pretty badly.
He's like that guy at work where you're like, you know what? Now that I think about it, this guy really isn't the problem. It's Brendel. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys where like he kind of keeps his nose down, but then you realize like, wait a minute, you're actually hurting the team. What are you doing, buddy? But we'll see how he does, man. I mean, I have faith that Brendel can at least perform as good as he did last year, which is, is what it is. But with Feliciano coming back, I mean, maybe Feliciano moves into center if Brendel can't handle it. Or I don't know if Pooney can really do center. I know he's played there before, but we'll see how it shakes out,
I mean, you could look at other options, but you do have Nick Sakal to play that spot too.
We do. But I mean, even the guys that are going to get cut, at the end of preseason, nobody gives away good offensive linemen. Nobody gives away good centers. We got Ben Barch on the practice squad,
Yeah, we gave away Jared Kingston, who actually did pretty well.
I know. I was like, oh no, what are we doing? I was hoping that we were going to keep him, but I guess they felt that Jalen Moore and what's the other guy?
Nick Sakal.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know about that, man. But, they're a better evaluator of talent than I am. But based on what I saw, I thought Kingston did pretty good for being a rookie.
I thought he held his own as a versatile guy. Like, I think he can play the guard or center spot, and he would have been developed. I think he would have been a good. He would have been a really good guy to develop as a center. But, I guess it is what it is with him.
What's this?
That's one of those guys, those Rams trolls. He's kind of funny.
94.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Dude, this guy likes to bring it up, and then he likes to be the jokester, man. And he gives you good comedy for a little bit.
Yeah, well, the Niners, I mean, look, when you look at it, they should have won the last 3 Super Bowls they were in, but, it is what
Kyle
it
is
is.
the fault, man. Kyle didn't capitalize. He didn't do the job.
To me, against the Chiefs the first time, at the end of the first half, he didn't use his timeouts. He let the clock run down at the end of the half. I was like, what the hell are you? I think he froze up. He was just like, oh, shit. And he just sort of lost track. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. We talk about Super Bowl. So we don't want to go there right now. Okay, so when we look at the next set of players, let's look at the D-line, which I think is one of their strongest areas. Obviously, Robert Beal Jr. is going to get a shot at being a backup defensive end. But then you got Leonard Floyd, who's hurt. Kevin Givens, Sam, I can't pronounce that name. And then Jordan Elliott. Yatir Gross-Matos, this is a make or break. I think, they're taking a chance on this guy. If he doesn't do much early on, he's not going to get that many reps. He's just going to go back to being a backup. But obviously, you got Nick Bosa, you got Javon Hargrave, which I think is going to have a better year than he did last year. And Malik Collins. I mean, there was footage on Malik Collins just throwing 2 offensive linemen out of his way to get to the running back to make a tackle. I was like, this guy's a monster. I'm so glad they got Malik Collins. And if you look at it, you turn to Eric Armstead into Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott. To me, that's better. To have 2 guys that are both different on the line, but they serve different purposes, but they're solid, and I love that. What do you think about the defensive line?
I like the lineup so far, especially Malik Collins, bro. I feel like the guy could just, if you saw that Raiders game, bro, he actually just took the double team and took both those guys down, bro. Oh my God, bro. That was that's something I've never seen from Eric Armstead personally.
Exactly.
But okay, I think Jordan Elliott is more of a rotational backup, but I think he was ranked as one of the best run stoppers in pro football.
He was. And so that's going to help too, because now when we get into those, those running sets and we have to put our defense up to stop the run, you can take out a guy like Javon Hargrave and replace him with Jordan Elliott, who's going to help clog up the lanes and not let the running backs just sort of run free all over us. I mean, and we haven't had a guy like that since DJ Jones. And so now that we got Jordan Elliott, I think that's going to help an awful lot. And, one of the things that I noticed too is that early on in the preseason, we didn't see, you're seeing a defensive line of all the backups and the guys that are trying to make the team. You didn't see a lot of, Hargrave, like in the last game you saw Hargrave, you saw Collins, but we never saw Nick Bosa, obviously. But imagine on a regular night, you're going to see Bosa, Hargrave, Collins, and Leonard Floyd all out there just going after the quarterback. And Leonard Floyd got hurt, which was like, oh, dude, really? But in that first game that he played, he got a sack. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, I think looking at the injury reports with Leonard Floyd, bro, I think he should be good to play for week 1, because I think it's day to day, which is not too concerning, but as long as he can play for that week. But I think Gross-Matos is at least week to week, which can be weeks for him to come back. I do like the depth chart. Maybe if we make quite a few extra roster moves, maybe try to get a defensive lineman that can be a good rotation. But I like to see what Robert Beal can do. But what I've seen in the preseason with Robert Beal, he needs to get better as a run stopper. I just kind of feel concerned about that part.
Yeah, I do too. And guys, we have 18 watching right now. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And guys, if you want to become part of the online community over for Dre Area Sports, go to nicotina.net. That is the home webpage for all three of my channels. And just hit join community under Dre Area Sports. And I'm constantly posting 49er updates throughout the day, all day long. And that's basically all I'm doing these days. So if you want to join the community, it's free to join. There is no fee. You just got to go in there, sign up, and then you're good to go. And then you'll be a part of the Dre Area Sports online community. Like I said, you'll be getting updates on 49er news, injuries, transactions, all that shit. So it's a lot of fun.
All right, that's good, man.
So we talk about the defensive line. I think that this defensive line will be better than last year. I think we're deeper than we were last year at certain positions. The last time that we had this kind of depth was back in 2019. But even that year, towards the end of the season, we started losing a lot of guys that gave us that depth. And that really hurt. Because by the time we got to the Super Bowl, it was really just, your starters that were out there and Solomon Thomas. Everyone else got hurt or got banged up. So that was rough. But this is the first time where I think they really went out of their way to kind of give this defensive line a lot more depth by bringing in guys like Jordan Elliott, Gross Matos, Malik Collins, which I'm surprised that Texas even parted ways with him. Bringing back Kevin Givens. So I think we have a lot of options at defensive line. So I feel pretty confident that the D line will be better than it was last year. And then when we look at the next category, we got linebackers. And then, oh my God, what is this? Fisk, Jim Everett. This is where you got to focus your attention on is the linebackers because you guys don't have any linebackers anymore.
Oh yeah, Ernest Jones got traded, man. So what's going on, man?
He didn't even want to be there. He was like, "Get me out of here," and he's gone.
I want the money.
Yeah, so they're gonna get ran right up the middle. And all the passes will go right up the middle, and they're going to challenge the weak linebackers, and they're going to have a hard time. But we'll see how that plays out.
Well, how does Ramilio owe me if he actually was triggered by my reaction, bro? He actually told me to cut it out.
Hey, leave me alone.
Yeah. But speaking of our linebackers, bro, it's pretty deep. Like outside of Warner, bro, I feel confident with our depth piece. I mean, D Winters, bro, this guy's flying. He's gotten better. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, let's be honest, he's more of a special teamers, but I think he's more than capable to step up if he has to. I mean, Tatum Bethune had one of the great preseasons. You look at Devondre Campbell, what I saw in that Raiders game, bro, I want to see that intensity, what he did, bro. Like, did you see that film where he actually, like, knocks one of those Raider guys out of the ground and makes the play do? Like, I don't know if you saw the Emmanuel Acho breakdown. That was crazy.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, it's crazy talent. It's crazy.
No, but that guy got it. I think he has something to prove because of what the Packers did to him.
Yeah, probably. But I think bringing in Devondre Campbell was a good move. It gives us more depth. It's just better all the way around. And so I was really happy to see that. I was trying to find, I had a list of players that moved on to other teams, but I'll find that later. But I was surprised. I was really, really surprised at the fact that they kept Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles over
Jalen
Graham. And everything I'm hearing is that Jalen Graham is such an incredible athlete, but I think where he kind of came short was his pass defense. But when you talk about that, when you look at Flanagan-Fowles, I didn't see anything out of DFF that made me think, oh, I got to have him over Jalen Graham, other than special teams. And I think that maybe because he's a veteran, you look at the linebacking. They trust him. And I think Kyle, that's how he is. He's like, you know what? I trust that guy. I like that guy. Let's keep him on the team. When you look at who's around him, you got Curtis Robinson, Tatum Bethune, D Winters. Those are all young guys. And so what do you do? Do you add another young guy? Or do you add a veteran in Flanagan-Fowles that can kind of help them out and, kind of keep the room in order while Greenlaw is out in terms of the locker room, that is. But you got Devondre Campbell and Fred Warner. I thought Campbell looked good in the preseason. Fred Warner's a beast no matter what. I think that D Winters is really going to solidify that third linebacker spot. But Curtis Robinson, man, the guy had an incredible summer. What'd you think about Curtis Robinson?
I think what stood out about him was it got slower for him. So he got a lot better as the season went on. And what really stood out about Curtis Robinson was he was making plays on those instincts, like on those goal line stops and those other plays. Dude, this guy, he looks a lot better than he was last year. Because I think last year's preseason he was okay, but this year he kind of made a strong case. So it came down between him and Flanagan Fowles. I thought at first, but those two guys made it over Jalen Graham. Man, that's just a shocker.
I know. That was the biggest letdown, and then he got claimed by the Commanders.
Yeah,
I was like, you motherfuckers! And watch, they're gonna be like, "Hey, I'll tell you what, we'll include Jalen Graham in the trade for Brandon Ayuk." No! How dare you!
I mean, but then you look at Tatum Bethune. That dude looked like a stud, and he had one of the best preseasons.
He did. He kept leading the team in tackles every game, and so you're like, hey, if this guy's doing that in preseason, what's this guy gonna do when we have to put him in the game and during the regular season? So I think the linebacking core is really good. However, I would have kept Jalen Graham over Flanagan Fowles. That was to me that was a little bit of a shocker. I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna do that. We're just gonna do that. Okay. But like I said, like I always say, we'll see how that plays out. Any last thoughts on the linebacking core?
No, I agree with you about Jalen Graham. We should have kept him, but I feel like the linebacker group is pretty strong. It's one of our strengths of our defensive group so far. I like this group.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, so far there really hasn't, other than the O-line, there really hasn't been a group that we're like, oh, I don't know about that. Now, this group right here on the next one, I'm going to pull up. This one excites me a lot. This is the safeties. You got Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga, who got activated yesterday. I'm like, what is going on? And then you got George Odom and Malik Mustafa. It's interesting because I don't think you go into the season with Hufanga on the roster but not ready to go, and then you're just like, yeah, all we got is Odom and Jair Brown, and Mustafa can fill in if one of those guys go down. It feels like there's a chance that Hufanga might be available for game 1. What do you think about Hufanga coming back?
I think him coming back kind of gives us the tone on our defense, but the question is, are we rushing him? We'll see. But I think it makes a difference against the run. He was a good run stopper, so that might be the key factor, having him healthy on the football field.
Well, and it's scary too, because if something happens to Jair Brown or George Odom, and then all you have is just one other backup to kind of fill in on those two safety spots, I mean, that's tough. And that's saying that Hufanga's not going to be ready by week 1. So if one of those guys goes down and then Mustafa has to come in, then you're like, please don't, none of you guys get hurt. Otherwise, we're going to start bringing in cornerbacks to play safety. And then obviously defensive back, Lenore, he's going to be playing in the slot, which I thought was really good. I think that's where he's the best. And that's where he wanted to fucking play during the Super Bowl. And fucking Steve Wilkes, whatever. You got fired.
Steve Wilkes or whatever there was going on, but stubborn people. But I guess, yeah. But I feel like the safety depth is pretty good, so I like the depth chart with a healthy Hufanga. I like how we have George Odom is more of a special teamer, but he kind of shows that he can step in if he has to. But Malik Mustafa, I like his upside, man. A tone-setting kind of old-school safety, makes plays, does everything that's necessary. I mean, may not be a ball hawker, but can make good plays in the pass defense.
Dude, the guy's a beast out there.
He's built like a linebacker, bro. I think DK Metcalf found his matchup, as far as a guy he can fight with.
I think so, man. I mean, this guy hits hard and he comes at you real hard too. So I'm really excited to see what we got out of Malik Mustafa as his career progresses. Guys, make sure you smash the like button and you subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, just become a member of the online community over at Nicotina.net. That's the homepage for all 3 of my channels, which is Nicotina Show, Dre Area Sports, and Beyond the Unknown, which I do with my brother. So definitely check out Nicotina.net and then join the community for Dre Area Sports. And it's free to join. It doesn't cost you anything. And I'm constantly putting updates and news updates and transactions, all this shit for the 49ers on there. And it goes direct to your phone or email. So it's a good resource to have. So definitely check that out. And he's back.
What? Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Oh no. Okay, so the next area we're going to look at, obviously, is the cornerbacks. You got Charvarius Ward, Ambry Thomas, Isaac Yadam, Darrell Luter Jr., and Renardo Green. I was really surprised to see that Rock Ya-Sin got released. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? I thought he played good. I thought he did a really good job. Is he the best tackler? I think maybe that's something he can improve on. But with Ambry Thomas being on the IR, maybe that's a move they do, today or tomorrow, and they bring back Rock Ya-Sin. But Ambry Thomas is not going to be there, week one. We already know that. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Broke his forearm.
I think it's collateral damage for him. Maybe they want to keep him in case when they're really, really injured, they might want to just keep him for purposes. But I've heard the reports that Rock Ya-Sin might make his return. If he clears waivers, they're going to bring him back into the roster. That's what I've heard.
And there's a chance that he does clear waivers. I mean, he's good, but he's not a guy that everyone's trying to,
he's decent. Like he's decent. He got potential, but he's not like somebody where they're going to say, "Oh, we're going to take him." No, it's more like he's all right.
I thought Renardo Green has played well as well, but Darrell Luter had the interception against the Raiders. I think he's got a lot of potential, so I'm glad to see that he's on the roster still. Isaac Yadam, and then obviously you got Mooney Ward, who's a stud. And you figure one of these guys is going to be the other cornerback because it's not going to be DeAndre Lenore. Demo Lenore, they've pretty much already announced that he's going to be the slot. In the nickel. So who becomes your other corner opposite Charvarius Ward? Who do you think it is out of this group?
Well, if we're going by somebody they really like, but I'll go on a take and say Ronaldo Green, man. I think Green kind of earned the right. I mean, Yadam, sure, maybe in practice, but what I saw in the preseason was Green did enough. Yadam's going to have a little bit better, but I've seen it between those two guys. But I'm going to go with Ronaldo Green because he's young and he's greener, and he's a long-term answer. Yadam is more like a one-year prove-it deal. Maybe he'll cash himself next year, but I think if you're going by who got the head start, it would be Ronaldo Green right now.
Yeah. I mean, Isaac Yadam was one of the leaders last year in pass deflections, so it's another reason why they brought him in. But I think that I agree. You invest in that high of a draft pick on Renardo Green. He has to be a guy that you can plug in almost immediately to go out there and play. And I think that's the guy they're probably going to put out there as your other corner opposite Mooney Ward. I'm just hoping that it doesn't turn into what happened last year with what's his face, who was super slow.
Oh, Isaiah Oliver.
That was oh God.
It better not be like another. It better not be Yadam as Isaiah Oliver 2.0, man. That would be a terrible one.
Well, and then last year it was like they were constantly picking on Isaiah Oliver, and you were just like, "Fuck, get him out of the game," But it's like I felt bad because he's a fucking human being, but it was like, man, you're not covering, and he couldn't keep up. These guys were faster than him, and
he was so bad that they even let Ambry Thomas go out there, man.
Yeah, and at first Ambry Thomas, he was looking real good. I was like, oh shit, he might be the real thing. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, never mind, there he is. And guys, I just put a poll in the chat over on the Dre Area Sports channel. Will the Niners win week 1 versus the Jets? Yes or no? Just put that in if you have time, and we could look at it later on the show. Oh shit. So let's move on from corners because I do want to get to some other topics real quick, but let's move on from the corner position and look at I think this is the last one we're going to do. I didn't do special teams. It's like 3 dudes.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
yeah. That might have been actually the last one. Let me see. Do I have another one? That was actually all of them, but I do have this that I wanted to share is that when you look at the draft this past year, and everyone's been talking about how the Niners have not drafted well as a complete draft. But when you look at what they've done so far, all these players made the team except for Kingston, which we lost, we lost him to
the Panthers.
I know the Panthers. He's probably like, oh fuck. I went from Super Bowl contending team to the fucking bottom of the barrel. Like, Jesus Christ.
He says I kind of came close to playing close to home. Now going all the way to the East Coast. Goddamn.
But you look at all these draft picks. You got, obviously Ricky Pearsall, Renardo Green, Dominic Pooney, Mustafa, Garendo, Cowing. It's just all these guys have shown a lot, and it's amazing. It's amazing that they've been able to do this.
Yeah, I think this year's draft is pretty promising. I think, man, if we would have just found a way to keep Kingston, I would have been happy with the rest of the draft, man. Damn.
I know, right? But so far, though, I think they did hit on at least the first three with Pearsall, Green, and Pooney. Obviously, I think Malik Mustafa is a fucking stud, and I think that Garendo gives you something that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, and then Cowing gives you something that you've been missing for quite a while because you need a guy that can put a top on the defense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you drafted Danny Gray. The guy couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get on the field, and this was his last chance. And the writing was on the wall. I mean, he would have had to have had an amazing preseason in order to make the team, and he didn't. And he dropped passes too, so that didn't help. So I don't know. He didn't get picked up by anybody. He might come back to the practice squad, or he might just move on. I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. I know that we did part ways, and that, in fact, let me go ahead and bring that up real quick. So, and actually, what you're seeing right now, this is what you would get if you join the community over at Dre Area Sports. So I'll show you how all that works as well. But this is one of the posts I put up. This was all the roster cuts as of yesterday. We're looking at, I should probably zoom in a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
There we go. It goes down a little bit. Oh, we'll scroll down. So obviously Matt Breida, Keyshawn Vaughn, which I didn't think had a chance. I honestly didn't think that Cameron Latu or Braden Willis should have made the team, and they didn't, because really, like, it was George Kittle and a bunch of dudes, and these guys it just wasn't all that impressive. Now, are they more of an athlete than I am? Oh, fuck yeah. But at the NFL level, I mean, there wasn't really a lot to talk about when it came to the tight end group that we had. So they did what they had to do. Danny Gray, I mean, the writing was on the wall. Robbie Chosen, oh well.
It was a wasted signing.
He came in late,
Yeah.
Sam Womack. So he went to Indianapolis. Some fans wanted him to come back to the practice squad. To be honest, I think that once he didn't make the team, for him, I think he just needed to move on to something else.
Yeah, I think he wanted a fresh start, and I think he wanted to get an opportunity. So I think the Colts were giving him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there is different options for them. They can either just go to that practice squad or go to another team's active roster, which they have that option which I would choose the active roster all day.
Oh yeah. And then you got Presley Harvin. I mean, to be honest, like, if it wasn't for Wisnowski, I thought he played dynamite. But I was like, okay, well, it sucks because they're like, we got somebody else coming back, so sayonara, dude. I mean, this guy was good as a punter. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he kind of made the kicks, and it was kind of like a debate whether he would take the job or not. But no, we got Wisnowski for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Lewis Kidd, that didn't surprise me. John Trey Kirkland, unless he's Kirkland's signature, he wasn't gonna make the team. And then Tanner Mordecai. Kirkland's signature. If he had that last name, they'd have been like, hey, we got to keep him on for quality. But you look at you keep him on for quality and low prices. But you look at Tanner Mordecai. I think this guy has a huge upside. And I know, like, Larry Krueger, he was pushing Tanner Mordecai over either Allen or Dobbs. I didn't think that was a good option.
He was pushing. I think he was pushing more on Dobbs, actually, which was wrong. But
yeah, he was like, I'd part way with Dobbs. I was like, what?
I like Brandon Allen over Dobbs. We should keep Mordecai over Dobbs.
Look, I love Larry, and him and I DM fairly frequently, but I did not agree with that. I was like, dude, no, you got to keep Josh Dobbs. He's more dynamic. He's experienced. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. If Brock goes down and then Jared Allen goes down, you want to have Tanner Mordecai leading your team to the Super Bowl? I mean, look, that happened to us. And we got lucky that it was Brock Purdy. That could have been that Dolphins game could have been the end of the fucking season for the Niners.
It could have been if their quarterback wasn't any better, but yeah.
Yeah.
Tanner Mordecai kind of reminds me more of a Taysom Hill kind of guy with the projects, man. The athletic. He's very athletic too, which is crazy. 4.46. God damn.
I know. No, this guy's good. And I mean, like last year. Well, not last year, 2 years ago. If that wasn't Brock and that was like, Nate Sudfeld, it's over. There's no way we even get to the NFC title game.
There's no way Nate Sudfeld would pull a Nick Foles kind of thing. No.
Yeah, no, that wasn't gonna happen. I mean, he might have won some games, but like I don't think he would have performed anywhere near what Brock did, especially against the Buccaneers, against Tom Brady. That was an incredible game. He was just letting it fly.
Yeah, I don't think what we saw from Brock is. I think this is just the tipping of the iceberg of what we're seeing from Brock.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be honest, look, oh shit, look, when it comes to the Super Bowl, right? I know we don't really talk about Super Bowl. We don't talk about Bruno, but the thing is that he played so fucking good in that game. He didn't turn the ball over. He had no interceptions, right? And the plays he made on that final drive. I mean, there was that play where those dudes were coming up right. They flushed him out to his left. They were about to sack him. And as he's falling down, he just kind of, drops the ball right into Christian McCaffrey, who has a big ass play. He just had a lot of clutch plays. And this is a guy who was the last pick in the draft. And he had an opportunity to be at 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. He might have done it if the Niners beat the Eagles, obviously. But if he hadn't gotten hurt, I mean, he could have went back-to-back. I mean, it's incredible what this guy can do. And I think the confidence and the ability that Brock has, and obviously, yes, his ability to process, the plays at a fast rate of speed. I think this guy is going to be a generational talent. And I think he'll do it not on this big, strong arm like he's a Josh Allen. I think it's going to be on a combination of things, on being smart, being intelligent, having the right timing, having the touch on the ball. There's so many things that he does every single game that just continues to amaze Niner fans. And, of course, everyone else in the league is like, he's a system quarterback. No,
he doesn't got a strong arm. He throws 5 yards. Come on, man. It's annoying. Like, they don't even watch the film to even get the difference.
I mean, they got to the fucking Super Bowl. If he would have won that game, they'd have been like, okay, yeah, I guess he is pretty good. But, of course, it didn't happen that way. Now they're like, oh, well, if they had a better quarterback, maybe they would have won. Yeah, it's fucking dumb. It's just stupid. I hate that talk. So these are all the guys that got cut, and some of them came back to the practice squad. But, yeah, if you join up on the Dre Era Sports online community, Frank Gore got released. I'll put that on. This is kind of what it looks like. So I have all the roster updates and then just news, articles, updates. So it's just a lot of good shit all about the Niners. Trey Cinco Lance. Oh, man, this guy. This was a rough game. 5 interceptions. Remember that? Oh.
Yeah, he pulled a Stetson Bennett in the preseason.
It's funny because a buddy of mine is a big Georgia Bulldogs fan, and he was like, "Yeah, he's Stetson Bennett. I'm glad to see this guy out there." And then he just completely shit the bed. I was like, "Oh, poor guy." And he was an older quarterback too, which is kind of crazy.
Almost 30 years old.
for the NFL.
Yeah.
In real life,
he seemed like a college flunk out or something in school or something.
So some of those rosters weren't exactly, I guess, up to date because 16 minutes ago, Sam Okeanu, I think that's how you say his name. He got waived. He's gone.
Oh, they just cut the Sam guy?
Yeah, they just cut him.
Well, I had a feeling he probably wasn't going to make it, but they're going to probably have to make room for somebody else. So, did you see that the Raiders just got Byron Young? That deep tackle?
I bet you that could be the guy they're going to go after. Like, hey, how you doing? And they just brought in another receiver as well from
the Panthers, Terrence Marshall.
Yeah.
And we should have brought in? We should have brought in Samson Nakua, bro. You could have brought him in as a guy to give us some looks for Puka looks.
Okay, here we go. This is courtesy of Sterling Bennett of 49ers Access.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, he's a badass.
He's a good dude.
Let me see. So here it is right here. Can you see that okay? I mean, maybe
yeah, let me see.
There we go. It looks like the Niners have re-signed Eric Sober. We talked about. They also brought back Ben Barch, which I kind of saw that one coming. And they
Rocky
did.
Rocky
they brought back Rock Ya-Sin, which Rock Ya-Sin, is it Ya-Sin? I thought it was, he put Rocky. He put Rocky Ya-Son.
Anyway, Rock Your
Son, because they placed Ambry Thomas on the IR and then John Feliciano as well. That allowed Ben Barch and Rock Ya-Sin to be back on the team, which is
Sam got news. And they made room for that part, yeah.
And then they waived him, so it makes you wonder. Did they waive him to make room for Eric? Just as a roster spot?
Yeah, I heard for the roster spot because they were making room for. No, I think they had Ambry Thomas on injured reserve for Rock Ya-Sin, from what I heard, and I think weaving. I think Feliciano was supposed to be collateral damage for like Ben Barch because he's gonna miss some time.
Yeah,
and I think the cut guy for the D-line makes sense. Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, already the Niners just got better. I think at least. I mean, getting Rock Ya-Sin back, I think is always good.
Yeah, we're going to need some defensive line depth. We probably need to get somebody. I think we're going to make a roster move for that one. So maybe we might cut Ronnie Bell on this move. Who knows?
So when you get a chance, take a listen to the interview that they had with John Lynch. This is just a snippet, and it's not even audio, but this is something he said during that press conference. He said, at some point, you got to play. And okay. I think at this point, they might be in a situation where they're trying to call his bluff. They're just like, look, dude, if you're not going to practice, which we thought you were, then you're going to start losing money because he has to play in at least 6 games in order for him to qualify. Otherwise, we'll be right back where we were next year. You know what I mean?
And I don't think he wants to do it, so he might have to just play through it.
Yeah, his 5th-year rights fall back to San Francisco if he doesn't play in enough games. So I just don't see this continuing on. The worst-case scenario, I think, is that if both Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams don't play week 1, that is the worst-case scenario. Even worse than that would be if we lose week 1 without those two.
And that would be like a Kansas City kind of move where they did with Chris Jones. I think they would want to be smart on that.
Yeah, and then what happens if you lose week 1? Then you're like, all right, how much do you want? Here you go. We're done. Just get back in here.
Yeah, or best case scenario, we win without those guys, and somehow they're just going to say, all right, just go and suck it up.
They might. They actually might, but
they might say, fine, we'll.
I think Trent Williams at one point, as you get closer to the season, like by next week, you have to sign him. You have to. You can't go into that last week with no Trent Williams and no Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk technically is signed, and he's on the roster.
And Trent is technically signed too. It's just a guarantee money. There's the only difference. So I don't get how they're just holding out for that problem.
I don't get why they haven't resolved that problem, but I can only imagine that it has something to do with Brandon Ayuk's contract, that they don't want to do one over the other. They want to get one done first. They want to get Ayuk done before Williams. But at this point, I think Trent Williams has to get. To me, Trent Williams is more important to this team than Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk was really fucking good. But I've said this before, Brandon Ayuk is not a generational talent.
No, he's good on our offense, but I think Trent Williams is more important because without him, we won't have time on the pocket.
No, not at all. It's going to be rough.
Jalen Moore, good luck with that, man. Good luck with Jalen Moore.
I know. And he wants to go to the Commanders. I'm like, bro, come on. And even Steve Young was like, you got to figure this out, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? You want to go to a losing team or you want to go to an actual winning team?
Yeah, exactly. What's this right here? Oh, here it is right here. Here, let's pull this up, and then we can kind of hear John Lynch.
I don't know that I saw the standoff with Brandon. I saw a situation that we were going to have to deal with. And man, we've been trying for a long time. We don't get paid to try. We get paid to do. And, I'll take accountability for anything that hasn't happened. But I won't stop continuing to fight to find the best resolution, whatever that may be. The Trent situation, things come up, and this is, come up. Trent's a fantastic player. He's a tremendous leader on this team. I will never fall short on my praise of Trent and what he's meant to this place. It was a great day. When I got that call from Rivera saying that they would do that trade, and he's been incredible since he's been here. So we value Trent. We love Trent. We want Trent here. And I'm hopeful that can happen soon.
I mean, listen to how he talked about Trent Williams.
It kind of seems like he's fed up with him at this point with his little facial look. He says, I will always be positive about him because I don't think he wants to have any bad sides with Trent, of course.
No. But to me, it feels more like that's their focus right now, is getting Trent back on the roster, back out there at practice. And I think because of Brandon Ayuk and the way that Ayuk has kind of played this, I think it's a case where it's like, look, dude, if you don't show up week 1, we're going to start finding you hard. And I think he knows, like, do you really want to sit out and not play until the final 6 games of the year? By that point, I mean, you're going to already know if you're in or out. So that's going to be tough, I think. If for Brandon Ayuk to sit out, 10 games? That's no. I can't see that happening, dude. I can't.
I think I
might be wrong on the games, but still.
No, I'm hoping he doesn't miss the game. I'm hoping it's like the Bosa situation where they get it done before the week.
Absolutely. And you never know. I mean, some people thought, oh, well, maybe today they're going to announce that, they signed both of them. Well, in a perfect world, yeah, that would have been stellar. But,
Sign of relief, but nope. It's still unsolved right now, so we don't know what's going to happen with these two. It's like it's a wait-and-see game.
Yeah.
This is what we were hearing. It's like he's going to stay, then a trade, this, with Brandon Ayuk. What's going on, man? Come on, get it over with.
Let's get it over with, man. Just get out there. You want to win a Super Bowl? This is the team you're going to do it with. If you go to fucking Pittsburgh or you go to Washington, you're not going to win shit.
You're just going to a team. You're going with a rebuilding team, if anything else.
Oh, especially Washington. And what, you want to go to Pittsburgh, where you're gonna have fucking old ass Russell Wilson or
Justin Fields?
Justin Fields throwing you the ball? Like, get out of here! And you think your numbers are gonna go up there? He won't even be able to get you the ball. So
he probably won't even be the best receiver because Pickens is actually technically their best receiver.
Yeah, and that's the guy they're like, oh, we don't want to include him in the trade. I was like, dude, come on. You do what you got to do to make it happen, but And then obviously there was talk today that Brandon Ayuk was supposed to be at practice, and he was not there. So a lot of people were speculating, like, okay, so does this mean he's not coming back? Does this mean he's going to get traded? I saw people earlier today on X saying, if he's not there today, that means he's getting traded to the Steelers. No. They have no reason. Dude, they have no reason to trade him. They have no reason. This is all he's doing. This is all what he wants, but they have no reason to trade him at all. And so that's why I'm like, bro, either you play in your 5th-year option, you take the contract we offered you, or that's it. There is no alternative. You've done your due diligence. You've sought out a trade. You found a team that was going to give you the money you want, and you said no. Yeah.
Make up your mind.
In the Patriots and the Browns. So you can't say that the Niners have been fucking you over. I mean, they found trades for you, but you said no.
And then when the Niners offer you a contract, you said no. What's the deal, man? Got to make up your mind. You want to play here or you want to go elsewhere? You want to go to a team that's going to be crappy and you're going to get a lot of the money, or you just want to be a part of the winning team where you could take a nice contract and it's not that big of a deal and you'll be a part of success.
Exactly. That's why I was watching the stupid video somebody sent me. It's it. It's like, you got to make a choice on where you want to go. And that's why even Steve Young was saying that. He's like, man, like, you got to put everything into perspective. And like, it's not worth going to these bad teams. And look, the fact of the matter is, bad teams have more money to spend because they're bad teams.
Yep, it's like the bad teams, they have, because the players they don't have is that good, and they're not going to pay that much on these players yet, so they have enough to spend because they're that bad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, I forgot to use this. I'll use it right now. We got another update from John Lynch. Let me pull that up real quick.
Let me guess. John Lynch and Brandon Ayuk have met up and they got a contract deal. Let's hope. Let's hope.
They had dinner tonight. But let's jump to that.
You told us you're impatient and this thing's really dragging on. Is this just driving you crazy?
Yeah, fortunately, there's 90 players here. There's preseason games. There's the work of getting better, and that goes into putting a team together. But no question about it, when you've got some of your better players, two of them in particular, that aren't out there, and that's your job. Yeah, you take a lot of pride in that, and I think one thing, we got a lot of really good players, and we've rewarded a lot of good players, and that makes things tougher at times. But I remain optimistic. We'll find a way to put the best squad out there, and really happy with where this team's at, and what we do have to offer. The players out here that have been here are working really hard. We got a lot of love for the two guys that aren't, and we'll continue to work on that to try to bring that to a resolution.
So look, he's saying all the right things. They want him there. They want both of them there. They're both a big part of the team, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like they got to make it happen. And I think the guy that you got to make happen is Trent Williams.
Yeah, Trent is your number one priority at this point. I mean,
at
you
this
need
point.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, that is the number one.
Yeah, I mean, if you get Trent Williams taken care of while Ayuk is holding out, you can still make something out of Juwan Jennings or somebody else. And then that's not a knock on Ayuk. He's talented. But if Jennings balls out, then what? Is Ayuk take less at this point? We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But CG, thank you for coming on here, man. Where can everybody find you, and what do you got going on?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on CG Ruthless, man. I do a lot of Niners content. I'm on Twitter, which is X. Want to follow me on my best content is go on TikTok, man. I got over 14,000 followers.
Nice.
Consistent Niners content videos. I do updates all the time. It's like I'm that news report that just keeps popping in every damn second, and you'll get a lot of Niners content over there.
Nice.
Yeah, I just recently finished my interview with Daryl Pollard, so definitely go check that out if you guys want to check out that channel. I mean, I did a good interview with the ex-Niner.
That's good, man. And definitely, everyone check that out, and make sure you follow CG Ruthless over on X, formerly known as Twitter. And then you also got a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah, I got a YouTube under CG Ruthless, and then I got a separate channel with Ruthless Aggression where it's like wrestling and other sports type of related, but mostly I have my Niners channel under CG Ruthless. So I do my Niners update, but most of my update content goes on TikTok, but I do a little bit on YouTube.
Okay, so there we go. And then if you're watching on the Nicotina Network or on Joy Area Sports, I'm streaming it on both channels. I put the link to the online community, so if you want to click on that, it's going to ask you a few questions. Just give whatever you can, and for information wise, and then you'll be logged into the community online where you can interact with me and everyone else who's on there. And also, if you have an Apple iPhone, you can download Collab by Lead Connector, and that connects directly to the community, and you can do everything from your phone. And that's usually what I do all day. Not when I'm at work though.
Nah,
no,
I mean,
when I'm at work, it's all business.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, CG, this was awesome, dude. We should do it again.
Yeah, let me know, bro. Anytime. Just give me a time and schedule. I'm down, man. Hey, shout out to your audience, and definitely look forward to more, man.
Absolutely, guys. So we got week 1 coming up. Not this Sunday, but the Sunday after. Actually, the Monday after. So We are going to be starting up the main Dre Area sports show on Wednesdays, and then Friday mornings I'll be joining the Johnny Dale's football podcast at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, so a little bit earlier for us over on the West Coast. I'll be joining them on Fridays to go over and get you prepped for every single Niner game, and for week one of the Niners season, I will be doing a pre-show for the Niner game. I'll have me, my brother Daniel, and a few other guys are going to be on there talking about the Niners, talking about what we're excited for and what we think is going to happen in week one. And then we'll be back at it again that following Wednesday for the Dre Area Sports Show. CG, this was dope. I can't wait to do it again. And hey, go Niners, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go, man. For sure.
For sure. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Peace.